Somebody's going to go there?
It should. Ustream validation in progress.
We did warm fuzzies that day too, so what are we thinking about each other?
There we go.
There it is. Okay. Now we're live.
What else? Sorry,
There's like a delay, right? 2-second delay.
Where?
I don't know. All right.
Wait, hang on a second.
What?
Look. Oh. Oh,
Hey, that's the thing. Yeah. See, now they're getting me, so I'm on whatever I am, 30-second delay.
We're getting the vacuum.
Yeah, which is awesome, amazing. All right.
hey, how do I upload that mushroom cut picture?
So, yeah. What picture on?
Yeah, so people know where we are.
Oh, there you go.
Isn't that cool?
Sure. Okay. All right. Wow. Oh, look at that sound and everything. Okay. So that is very loud. I don't even need a mic. But anyways, so we're actually going to get started only because people. Do you know of anybody that's actually on there, Hugh, right now?
I see Lindsay and I see Mimi.
Okay. So.
They're the only two. I think everybody thought what started.
All right. So there may be some people who are 5 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern time to start. That's okay. We'll start. So I don't know if anybody's ever. You guys have done Twitter chats before. I know through SD36. What other Twitter chats have you done?
7th chat.
7th?
7th chat, BCN.
Oh, you guys are just chats.
I've done that, what is it, Totally Rawsome. No, it's Totally Rawsome.
Oh.
It's just like weird ones.
His own chat. So we have we regularly have a Den Chat on Thursdays. So welcome to Den Chat, and Hugh sometimes hosts, don't you, Hugh?
I have.
Yeah, and you're going to be hosting again in a couple of weeks. And so the idea is for to sort of do what people normally do with a Twitter chat, and that is essentially it's going to be 6 questions that we're going to explore over the next hour, and Hugh's going to kind of keep us on track. But the idea of coming here was more for us to sort of focus more on each other. Also invite those who want to participate virtually to do that and connect you with some of those folks and vice versa. And so that's what this is, and that's why we're experimenting doing this live, and it's kind of not working great, but that's okay. This is all experimental. This is nobody's going to lose anything, but the idea of obviously is to again connect us to a broad. So we're going to start with, and so if you end up around after 5 and we start again, we might do round 2. I don't know, for those who want to. So hello Margaret, how are you? I'm great. So this week's theme is kind of around a district change, and so I'm grateful that Jordan Tinney's here and Antonio's here and other leaders and teachers as well to have a informal discussion about leadership. So what is our first question? Jordan, come on up here so they can see you online, and then we're going to ask more for teachers, but that's okay. I think it's what is the first question?
What do teachers need and expect from their superintendents in order to innovate and do their job?
All right. So I'm going to let them think, but then I'm also going to let, this is Jordan Tinney. Jordan is the superintendent of Surrey Schools. And Surrey Schools is a large school district, 8,000 kids, big, right? Big place. Also a great reputation for innovation. So they're going to answer in just a second, but do you have any thoughts around what, do we have another question about what superintendents need from teachers? Can't remember that. I'm totally picturing this chat. Is it question 2? I don't remember what it was.
What should leaders expect from their teachers?
Okay. What if we ask, let's go Let's go back to our,
That's the only one that the superintendent's on, but this other one is what should leaders expect from teachers in order to be satisfied?
how about when you were a teacher? I want you to go back and put on your teacher hat for a while. What did you expect from your leaders when you were in that innovating, do all the good things that you
What did you teach?
Yeah, tell us. There you go.
Okay, well, I'll answer it that way. So when I was teaching middle school in Saanich School District, what did I expect from when you say from your leaders, the very first people I think about are my teaching colleagues. They were actually leaders to me because I was brand new, right? So
Right.
they were the ones I looked to. I also looked for my principal, but kind of more for my principal, to be honest. I looked for student discipline to be taken care of, the school to run smoothly. You just keep the ship running so that I can do my job. And what I really wanted to know is kind of what are the goalposts, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, and then just let me do my stuff within that.
That's interesting. Like, so you want to know, like, tell me, what does this box look like, and how do I sort of work within this box? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think you want to know where is your comfort zone, and you have your own personal comfort zone, but you have at that time a school comfort zone as well. So you want to do something that's good for the school, but you also want to flex your own innovation in order to do what's right for kids. So, I mean, I watched a teacher here today give a presentation, and I thought, I can't do what she does. Like, I would love to do what she does, but I'm not her. Like, she had a style, a way about her that was just so engaging. And I thought, yeah, the structures were good, they were cool, yeah, I could do that, but I'm not her. So the first rule of teaching I always felt was you've got to be yourself. And from leaders, then I just want to know, tell me where the goalposts are, and I can work within those goalposts.
Do you feel like, and I don't date you or age you, but when that was even a big conversation, you know, years ago, the idea of change and innovation, was that something you felt like it was? Today it just seems like it's a constant discussion and a focal point. Was it? Do you felt like it was?
I think it's always been the same. Ever since I've been in education, which has been a while, changes. The system is in constant evolution. I think the tools have changed a lot. I think the price of changed a lot. I think infrastructure requirements have changed a lot. But the core business really hasn't changed a lot. But the core business to me is the relationships. Because I actually get a little bit, I just kind of get a little bit, I would say, irked when I hear people say, oh, you know, what it was in 1904. It is so different. But the core business that is relationship between the teacher and the student on a day-to-day basis is absolutely timeless.
If you don't get that right, it doesn't
And
really
if you don't get
matter.
that right, all else goes down the tube. But I think when I was in my first school was like a technological revolution. It was all about innovation, creativity, videography, and to date myself, laser discs, and how can you incorporate technology in the classroom. That was the time.
Right. So let's go to the real experts of this question. Kat's already got. Okay, what do you expect from leaders?
So as a teacher, I teach grade 7. Basically, I want someone who's going to inspire me. Probably the best principal I had was Basil Raji. And one of the things he did when we first started, he actually asked us, what are your goals as a teacher? What are things you're working on and how can I support you? And I just thought that was so amazing because he is actually listening to the things that are important to me, getting to know me in that way, and asking how he can help me reach those things. Like what Jordan was saying, like it is about community, building community in your school. The principal should be visible. I feel like they should be inspiring people to try new things and to sort of reach beyond what they're already doing. Yeah.
Is your experience one where, I mean, and I guess it would be true for every teacher, but I feel like in larger districts, and I know I've had conversations with Antonio where the principal is sort of your focal point as leadership. How do you see the senior leadership in a district of this size and sort of their role? What about from superintendents? Like, what do you expect from your superintendents and those people that are sort of that one level up from your day-to-day relationships?
Well, I would definitely say that I love that both Antonio and And for me, I just find that it's neat that they have that open communication with teachers. I feel like they're approachable. I've talked to Antonio on the phone, and I think that that is important because again, it's about that building that relationship. So knowing that they are caring about the school district and visible at these chats and the workshops and active on Twitter, and you see the things that they are doing in the district. And I know, Antonio, you're always tweeting out things from schools in Surrey that are going on, and I just love seeing those things. So
It's that one. The good thing that we can do today is that we can be more visible, especially in a district of this size. There's no way you're going to get to all those schools. And
exactly, and it's neat to be able to, like, I wouldn't know necessarily what people were doing in other schools if I wasn't seeing it, what you guys are tweeting out, right? So it's nice to kind of see that, and I think it definitely builds more community through the entire district, especially.
What about anybody else? What do you guys think? Who wants to pipe in? What do you need from your leadership?
Something that I appreciate, that we already get.
Yeah.
I really appreciate our senior leaders advocating for us on a provincial pushing the limits of what traditionally has been accepted. For example, for reporting and assessment. So I really appreciate that push forward and not just accepting the standard book. And it is a really scary position to be in, but maybe because we're the biggest district, it's a little easier, but it is easy to just do that, but our district hasn't been doing that, and I really appreciate that.
Okay.
So, Jeannie Shields noted her teachers need on Twitter here on that hashtag and chat. Teachers need to know creativity is not just permitted but celebrated. So I think she's referring to like some of the similar leadership celebrates some of the innovation that's happening and recognize you go a little bit on the edge, but it's still recording this respect.
Yeah, and that's a big difference. I mean, there's lots of things like tolerate and sort of say, yeah, it's okay to do that. I mean, even Jordan, you were explaining sort of knowing the boundaries. That's one thing. That's maybe step one. Step two was how do you actually does make that step? That it's acknowledged that it's not just it's okay you did it, but we're glad you did it and want to see more of that. Are we on question 2, or we keep going? We've got more stuff to say.
We can keep going.
Keep going.
You skipped ahead.
They skip it ahead. That's okay. What's Q2?
Well, we did.
Yeah.
Staff.
Go ahead.
So one part of the question was, what do teachers expect from superintendent? And I think one of the things we can do, to whatever extent possible, is get the stuff out of the way. Like remove the things that actually are a hindrance to teachers and students being successful. Because there are rules that some of the policies we create, we look at them and we say, really? Like, who wrote that? Sometimes it's us, right? So I think you can't be so rigid that you say, well, that's policy. That's policy. That's not who we are. So you have to be able to listen to schools and teachers and say, if something doesn't work, you have to work to get it out of the way and make it easier for people. Because some of the things we do just make the job harder.
All right, so I'm going to stick with Jordan. I'm going to maybe ask Antonio and others to chime in, but here's question 2, which looks like they started. What should we expect from teachers in order to be satisfied that great learning is taking place? What do you expect from these people in the room?
What do I expect? Can I change it to what do I hope rather than what do I expect? I believe teachers love kids. I think that's got to be at the core. I think about teachers as reflective practitioners. You actually think about what went well, what didn't go well. All of us, I've never had a lesson plan yet that I thought, oh, that was perfect. And teachers who connect with their colleagues, I always feel the greatest danger is in shutting your doors, closing your windows, and believing the site I can do this myself because it's the only way I can stay on top of things because I'm so busy is actually to go into my own little world. And I just believe that that is ultimately doomed because teachers need to reach out to their colleagues in order to get support and to find out, and people do want to help and support. So what do I hope is that teachers love kids, and I know they do, and that they reach out to their colleagues and ask for support and help.
Antonio, I know you're recording, but what do you think on this one?
Well, I think Jordan mentioned the first thing that I would mention, which is at the end of the day, just want everyone in the building to care for the people that they work with, both their colleagues and for kids. And what I value most, I think, is when teachers don't view themselves as teachers first, they view themselves as learners first. Because I think if you can get to teacher learning, then I think the student learning comes naturally because they view themselves the same way they view their own students. It puts that our kids often feel that they're in, that I'm really struggling with it. And I've worked with lots of people who initially struggle with new learning, but they persevere. It puts them in a position that their kids are in every single day when maybe they don't grasp the concept right away. So I really value that in Surrey educators, but senior team, puts themselves up. But I think our Surrey teachers really are not afraid to take the risks. And that comes back to the they have with their school administrators, because teachers are not going to take risks if they don't feel like their school administrators and senior management will stand behind them and the good practice that they're experimenting with.
Anybody want to chime in?
So somebody just talked about opening doors for teachers in both real world and virtual, just some of the things that we talked about here. Document some of the good practices that happen, share, and let others know, and connect with others who are doing great things as well.
I think about too that when we think about what we expect from teachers, like I always feel like there's only one non-negotiable for me. Maybe there are more, but the one big non-negotiable is that you're done learning. Like I've achieved enough, and I'm not interested in learning how and what that looks like. I think there's lots of room for that conversation, but. One of the things that I'm always struck by when people talk about challenges they have with individual teachers, part of me thinks of if that's an ongoing issue than anything else. If you're hiring people who don't love kids or who don't sort of share those same values, how do you deal with the fact, again, in a large district like you have, I know you hope and believe that all teachers love kids, but there are some people who I wouldn't want to paint them in that way, but they struggle with it more, right? So how do you sort of deal with the fact that while I'm going to guess a low percentage are very much in agreement with what you say, you're going to have those who are challenged in some way. So what is the sort of approach around that or way to deal with that beyond just saying you don't belong?
That's a loaded question.
It is.
So, you know what? I had come from, long story short, I come from a whole family of teachers. I was not in teaching. I had a colleague of mine turn to me and say, Jordan, how come you're not a teacher? Like all that you need is your teacher. How come you? And I said to him, I think it's too hard work. Like it's too hard. And he actually went into teaching. So I said to him, look, I lived watching. I grew up watching my dad do lessons plans every night. I watched my sister, I watched my whole family do it. This is a task, and it's the never-ending story. So 5 years later, 6 years later, I was in teaching. So I think there is a piece that people need to know what they're getting in for, and I think there's a whole piece that can be done around how we recruit teachers, how we support teachers, what type of mentorship we provide, peer support as well for teachers who are new to the profession. Because I think that some people, I wouldn't say that they don't like kids, but I think they get a great shot And I'll tell you a story. I heard an individual the other day, went to check this, was applying to be a teacher, and there's a box that said, have you ever had an unsatisfactory report? And it was checked, yes. And they're applying for a job to be a teacher. But said was, hey, I actually thought I was going to be a secondary school teacher, and I got in there, and the kids ate me alive. And it just was not for me. I couldn't do it. It just wasn't my domain, but I have a passion for learning and education. So I went back to school, redid some work. I've done more diligence, and I'm applying again to be an elementary teacher. And I said, take them. That's the type of person that I'm willing to take a risk on, that they've learned a lot. But is everybody going, could we predict perfectly, have we been successful with every single principal, every single superintendent in terms of selection? We make mistakes, we do the very best, we believe people are going to be successful, and our obligation is to support them in the profession that they've chosen. And the nature of teaching as well is, it's hard work, and some people, the work itself takes them on just because it's overwhelming. And that's sad, but it's also true.
If you're going to chime in, just, don't be shy. Don't be shy. So are we on to question 3 yet? I don't know if we got it.
Sorry, there's some. I'm doing that. That's spinning. I can feed you question 3.
Well, no, I'm thinking about the whole relationship, and I think it's really an interesting one where teachers do have expectations of their leaders, and it goes back to the idea of, and I really struggled with the term accountability, because when it first sort of entered into the edusphere, if you will, it was something that's now being brought down from ministries to, or in the U.S., from states to districts to schools to teachers, and it was very much that kind of a flow. But the kind of conversations we're having is much more what Richard Almore talks about is reciprocal accountability. That's the word I want. Reciprocal, which that is the kind of ability we want. Whereas basically, as a leader, you're saying, I expect certain things from you, but you should expect certain things from me. We both have to do this. So, and it's the same. That's the same relationship you want with your classroom, right? As you want the students to own it. You have to do this for me. We have to do this together. I have certain expectations of you, but you as a student should have expectations of your teacher to be able to do certain things. But it's understanding that that's how it works. And I'm not sure that's always been clear. I think for some teachers have felt like they're just doing something for someone else in the same way that students have felt like they're just doing it for someone else. So I think the more conversations that we have and opportunities like this where we're actually seeing a shared, we've talked about shared visions for a while, but I don't know that they were as clearly articulated and felt, I think, as perhaps people wanted to be. So I really am sort of fond of that idea of reciprocal accountability. I think it makes sense to me that we both sort of look after each other. So, all right, question 3 there, Mr. McDonald.
Okay, where do they are? Okay, how do districts actively pursue and encourage network learning?
So here we are, right? We're doing network learning. I still feel like in most districts it is a sort of nice to have. That's great, but I don't know that it's something that a lot of districts, whether it's principals or leadership, is actively requiring, but encouraging. So I don't know if it's even what you guys have discussed around where does it rank in terms of the value that you want your teachers to consider. Is it something, how does it encourage here in Surrey?
I'll answer one ways, and it's a timely question. I wouldn't have it in front of me, but I asked the question the other day, how many networks do we have? How many groups of teachers working together? And it was over 400 groups of, different groups that are currently, that we know are working within Surrey. So what we do is we just constantly believe there's a demand, a desire for teachers to have time and resources to get together and opportunities, and they pursue that. So if you create it, they simply take advantage and come. And I think you also have to try to, whatever extent you can, have that back with what Antonio said, which is risk-taking. Know that when you pull people together that you want them to explore the boundaries and push practice and take it in new directions. So in Surrey, it's grants, it's time, it's any possible way we can, social media, to say, how can we support you to gather together and to share expertise. And tonight's just one example, but the numbers are staggering for us in terms of how many people are involved.
Wow, that is tough. All right, what do you guys think? How is it? How do you feel encouraged to be networked and connected with one another?
I feel like with Surrey, we have so many opportunities such as...
By the way, stop. We should, I know on Twitter people always do the, hi, I'm Robin from Surrey. We should do that here so people know. So share your Twitter handle and what grade you teach. We know you're from Surrey.
Okay, my Twitter handle is @Carmina23, and I'm a grade 6-7 teacher at Lena Shaw Elementary School. And back to the question that we were talking about, I feel like Surrey has so many opportunities where we can network, such as inquiry groups. So I'm a part of the Spirals of Inquiry this year, where our school got a grant and we get to work together towards that inquiry, as well as the numeracy inquiry where I get to work with the helping teachers around the district, such as Selena and Mark. So I get those opportunities where I get to work with various teachers around the whole district, not just within my own school level, but I get to bring what I learned from outside teachers around our district to our school and share that through professional development as well as staff meetings and other things. So I feel like Surrey has so many opportunities. I've also worked with Langley where I feel like they have had those opportunities, but I'm very happy to be a part of Surrey and being able to be a part of lots of inquiry groups.
Nice. So can you talk a little bit about anything specific that sort of has come out of that in terms of...
So which one would you like me to talk about?
Anyone.
Okay.
I'm just looking for more, like a really specific example. Like, yeah, I get the idea that you got these opportunities, so how is it sort of helpful?
So last night I was at DEC as well with these two, and we were at our Aboriginal Science curriculum, I think I'm right.
Yeah.
What's the name?
First Peoples.
Principles of within science, and so we got to go through different stations. And what I did today is that we had a lunch and learn at my school today, where basically I shared what I learned from last night to my group today at lunch, and now we're going to have like an identity day for our whole school, for the whole school. So it's being able to branch what you learned from those small, but being able to spread that to a larger school-wide opportunities. Yeah.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Sandy at Gal Smiley, and I'm teaching grade 5 at Lena Shaw. And I think I thought you said it beautifully, and I think where Surrey excels is actually having so many opportunities. They hit workshop fatigue at a point earlier a couple months ago, but it was just like, there was so much that you could always go to connect with your colleagues in the district. And my word that I like with it is synergy, because you can do tons of creative stuff by yourself, and you can come up with stuff, and you can work with stuff. But I sit down and talk to Carmina or talk to Kat, and in 10 minutes, you have so many more ideas than I come up with by myself. So I love the opportunity, and I think it's really supported. Appreciate it.
That's great. Anybody else want to share a story? How is it encouraged? So those are some good examples. Kathy, how are you?
Well, thank you. I've joined the Steeds.
Oh, wow.
So my name is Kathy Daniel, and I'm at Teacher's Librarian. I'm a teacher librarian, and I'm not sure, but I might be the only one here beside my mentor beside me, Lynn Powell. I'd just like to say that my #1 support has been Hugh McDonald, sitting right in this room. He mentored me all last summer when we were in Chicago, the Dan Summer Institute, and then him and I presented the Star Master program together. And it gave me the confidence to start a
librarians are the heart of the school, and like roots underground, we are to all of our teachers and trying to encourage them to participate and use the digital technology that's available to us in district. So Hugh, thank you very much. Dean has been a great support, very encouraging, welcoming, answers to any questions, and that's from Discovery Ed. Lynn has really helped me, just giving me the confidence to get there and represent teacher librarians and to stand up in front of my peers and make a fool of myself. I'd like to thank Antonio because he released you and I to go to the Day of Discovery in North End. So everybody in I don't know you, but everybody else in this room, I follow them on Twitter. They're doing, and some of you are following me back to them. I don't tweet a lot, but I'm lurking in the background, learning and trying and not giving up. So thank you.
And just, I mean, I love the fact you're talking about how sort of networks and communities here. And so how do we, again, Surrey is a highly connected district. So what do you see also, and Kathy sort of touched on a little bit, but in terms of the value that your district places on connecting with people outside of Surrey? And is that a value quality?
I'm Kat. My thing is @SACAT, and I'm a grade 7 teacher at Senator Reed. I think that it's really neat that our district has its own hashtag, and I think that it's very well known, and I like that every workshop or dinner series that we go to, they've got it up there, and they're encouraging people to tweet out, and they're encouraging people from other districts to follow along, and I just think that so many more ideas are shared that way. I hadn't ever even really heard of Twitter, and I started following these things, and I just learned so much, trying new things that other people are doing, and it's just been amazing. I find that we've got the Facebook Surrey Teachers conversation, and then there's a Facebook fresh grade one, and then there's the teaching ideas one on Facebook. I just feel like anytime anybody has a question, it's answered so quickly, because there's so many people that are willing to help each other, and I just think that that's something that's really special about our district, where people are willing to help each other, and they're not just holding that knowledge for themselves.
So a little bit of a follow-up question to that too would be, how then do you actually help your students, or is maybe that's something that you don't feel students need, or that's your role, to have that same opportunity to connect with people outside of their own classroom? I'm going to Robin.
Hold my hand down.
Hi, I'm Robin Thiessen at I teach 3rd grade, and we, my class and I, look to a lot of mentors, both within our school, our district, and the globe. For example, today we just chatted with an author about her writing process for her book, because it was World Read Aloud Day today. I can't know everything, but there are a lot of people out there in the world that do have a lot of knowledge on certain things. It really helped the children to be able to ask their questions about writing and revising, and for them to understand that it just wasn't a one-off thing, but she actually sent it to the editor, they sent it back. So all those processes, and talking to scientists and other people from all over the globe, those global connections, to people in the den that we missed with, it allows children to experience the world from within their classroom. And it's fabulous that we have the technology that we're able to do that these days.
Thanks. So I'm Lisa Dominguez-Suarez, and on Twitter I'm at Library Mall, because the first library I managed, the County Mall of Region 3. move beyond that. I am a teacher librarian and also a makerspace teacher at the Surrey Academy of Innovative Learning. Go Salem! I got some other Salem teachers here, like literally just cheering each other on. So our Twitter handle for Salem is @36Salem, and I work with students from 8 until grade 12. And with our academy students, I think that they see how I use social media and how I absolutely treasure my professional network. Many of them are here today, and they're also all over the world. So, you know, as an educator, I'm connected to the world, and I bring that to my students. And I also, what we're teaching them is that, in fact, they need to be starting to create their professional learning network in elementary school. And now that they're in elementary school with us, is they should be actively creating their professional learning network. When someone Googles them or searches for them, they find all they do on their blogs, they find their connections with other people, they don't find a picture of them drinking a beverage in a field. That's very important. And for future employment, but also just for managing your online presence. Because our online presence is now seamless with our analog presence. And our students are really excited because we do things like we have a relationship with Tinkerings, the 3D printing company that's here in Delta. And Eugene, who's the CEO and superintendent, or CEO of the company, he Skyped in with us, and we talked about what it is to create a startup, to create a company. And also, what he said to me, I'm just going to repeat this, and I'm off here because it might be someone else, is that he said, when someone comes and interviews for his company, he turns over their resume, and he doesn't want to look at the resume. What he wants to know is who you are, what your passions are, and what you can do and what you have done. Then he wants to know whether you fit into the culture of his company. So that was really pivotal, really important for my students because they realize that they in the future they can start startups and they can also work in tech. And then the next day, he literally came by because we needed our 3D printer fixed, and they were like, wait a second, we just Skyped with him. He's a real person. It's Eugene. And I'm like, yeah, actually, when people Skype with you, they're not robots. So that was fun. These are the gifts.
So I think that is certainly one of the powerful gifts that you give, and Rob, and he's kind of touched on the idea that, you know, I'm sharing with people the other day that your time with your students is limited for that year, and that's it. So the biggest thing you can do to them is introduce them to others who can continue their learning. And so by having an author come in or a startup person come in or whomever, you just make that a habit, and not every kid is going to gravitate to the author or to the startup person, but if you have a lot of the idea that you're constantly bringing people in to introduce to your students, that's a powerful thing. And when they get the message, oh, I can reach out to these people, and it opens them. And I think that's one of the best things that we do in Discovery is like our virtual field trips are ways in which you can very easily, without anything to do, you essentially click a button, and now you're talking to, you know, whether it's a scientist in Churchill or a game designer at EA Sports or, you know, whomever, young scientist somewhere else. So I think that mindset for teaching more than just it's cool to do a mystery skate. Yeah, it's cool to do it. But the coolness wears off. Like, I mean, you're doing enough that it's fun to do, but it's more about I get to meet a new person. I get to meet someone else for some reason.
Yeah, Hugh, all that good teacher. We were part of the local read aloud this year, and one of the classes we talked with two classes on a regular basis. 5 weeks through the project. And the differences in perspectives from students that are living in Surrey, British Columbia, Canada, versus what you would find in the South Dakota,
Right.
very rural South Dakota. And so we would talk about different questions. I would be communicating with their teacher, we'd be going back and forth and setting questions and stuff. And just the kids would just take off in different ways, especially when you gave them an opportunity to ask, is there a startup? How close are those startups to where you live? What do you do on weekends? And to find out that they go hunting and our kids are going, something like that.
We hunt for bargains.
Yeah, and then kids asking questions about, Trump or Hillary, and then you finding very polarized views and asking how they can find that, or even acting out skits from the book, and then trying to figure out which scene you're trying to figure out, and it's just, it's eye-opening. It really is.
I just wanted to say that I'm hearing here a lot, and it's all about building relationships, whether we're building them from the senior admin in the district, or our principals, or our students. Everything that we do is about relationships, and we're trying to have the children experience all these new relationships with all these amazing new tools that we have. Everything we do every day is about a relationship, and if you don't have those relationships with your students, they're not safe and loved, they're not going to learn. And bringing all these other people to help pique the interest of all those different learners in your room is something else that's making connections. The kids actually ask me how I do it, like how did I find it? So they were wanting to figure out how they could go there as well.
One of the interesting things is I think it's about student about their choice and about their voice. We had a student that was doing research into that they have, and he couldn't find much information on the internet, and so he literally off in UBC who was a specialist in that disease, and that's empowering, to empower students that they can be in charge of their own health. They can reach out to people who are doctors and who are, physicists, or that they have the right to be able to build relationships and to build that kind of network. And the cool thing I like about, being involved in, in discovery is that, I'll meet someone, make a connection with them and a relationship. And then in the future, I'll be able to call on them, and then they're also able to call on me. So it's like kind of building your community. And when you talk to students about the power of community to sustain us as human beings, that's a major, great lesson for us to know.
And when you were talking to about, you were talking about connecting with students in South Dakota, part of it is, and this is unprecedented, that we've never had a chance to hear the perspectives of another child their age, right? So it's one thing to connect experts, and that's great, we talk about that, but it's another thing to hear, what does another 10-year-old in a different part of the world think about this, right? Because that's not documented, that's not in the book. There's no videos particularly created for that. And so I think that's another unique thing, is to start to learn, just the whole, talk about the whole idea of empathy and how do we help people live in a world that's increasingly global. I mean, most of our schools now have kids with numbers of languages, so it's it happens internally, but you still don't know what a 10-year-old in South Dakota, because we don't live with those folks every day. So by doing that and making that part of your classroom experience, the fact that being connected has so many benefits, to you personally. You guys talked about how that's empowering you, a teacher, having all the groups that talk about the online, connecting your kids. I mean, it seems like there's endless benefits to that. So, are we have a question for you, Steve? What's the question for?
How is the role of the principal unique?
Ah, okay. I don't know.
Señora Director?
So, and I want Antonia to speak, because Antonia and I had an interesting conversation about this a while back. with Dr. Memory. But here, what do you think? How's your role, principal? So a little bit unique.
Here, I'm just I'm a principal at the Sabbath school. I love being a principal because I have the unique ability to get into a variety of different classes from K to. When I taught kindergarten and grade 1, it seemed like I was just in the primary area. Now I'm able to deal with a lot of other students and a lot of other teaching that's going on. I also have the opportunity to try different teaching methods with intermediate classes. When I was a primary teacher, I didn't have many opportunities to do that. So I asked teachers if I can do different with intermediate classes, and it's been a lot of fun. So it's opened up a lot of boundaries for me, and it's opened up a lot of the comfort level for me. So I've enjoyed that, to be able to work with different teachers as well as a variety of different age groups too. So that's a unique that I have.
Okay, Antonio. I'm going to let you talk, and if you don't say the thing I think you're going to say, then I'll jog your memory, but I'll let you say whatever you want.
How about you
first.
refresh my memory first, because.
So, in December, so you were school last year, now you're district principal. And I asked you a question, I said, what was the biggest aha or awakening in your job? And you talked about how much filtering happened that you have to do now. You don't have to talk about specifics, but just anyways. So I don't know if you want to talk about there or when you were in the classroom, sort of the uniqueness of that role.
Well, I actually never wanted to be an administrator, actually. And when somebody suggested it to me, I just said, I'm going to miss the connection with kids. And my principal said, you're going to have a much bigger impact. More kids than you ever have as just a classroom teacher. And I honestly didn't believe that. Then I went from having 30 of my own children to suddenly I have now connection with 600 of them. And it is such, I would echo what Hiram says, there's so many different challenges, and if you like variety in your work, I was an intermediate teacher, and I'll tell you, kindergarten classrooms, the first time, it's like, oh my gosh, and the same way that maybe teachers feel about grade 7 as big scary kids, and they're not. I mean, they're just kids. And so I just love that I can go into any one of 26, 27, 28 classes. I can go in and enjoy my time with students. I think what I appreciate most is how much autonomy schools have. I don't think schools and teachers know how much autonomy they have. And you'll never know until you actually just can't say certain things because of your audience. But if you have a great relationship with your community and your kids, and you're all pulling on the same side of the rope, your school can do anything and be as innovative as you want, as long as you have everyone informed and pulling on the same side of the rope. And that's something that I really, really miss. And I just see so many leaders amongst us and so many teachers that I work with, and I see the leadership, what they think they can do. And I think a couple of questions ago I wanted to say that I think we all suffer from this whole, it's so obvious what I'm doing, but it can't be being amazing to other people. And yet, do amazing to others. And we all suffer from that. I do as well. We would have school visits from people from Europe, people in Surrey, and Lower Mainland, and I'm like, we just do what we do. We don't actually think what we're doing is amazing. But to other people, and we're willing to share. So maybe that's kind of a roundabout your question, but
Well, and I was thinking about, that's right.
Yeah, I just want to add to that, we're in a unique position as well as administrators to be able to share what's going on in all the classes in our school. Sometimes teachers feel like what they're doing isn't very special or very creative, and we have the opportunities to give teachers that support and say, yeah, this is really cool, would you like me to share it on your behalf? And a lot of the times the teachers would rather, the teachers that I work with at my school would rather have me share it than them share it themselves. So that's a really awesome position to be in.
Well, and it's and I had this with someone a number of years ago, and we kind of used this phrase together, narrative champions. And that's what the principal's role often is, because what Antonio was saying, teachers not either don't think what they're doing is that amazing, and so it takes someone else to say, yeah, it is. And if you don't mind, I'll help share that story with you. So even what you're doing, what Pat talked about, the fact that you guys tweet out things that happen in other schools, you being a narrative champion for those teachers in those schools is a new role I think the principals have that I don't think they ever had. People thought, I might be sort of storyteller or whatever, but that communication aspect I think is a powerful thing for principals to take hold of. And then of course, along with that, one of the I think everyone's recognizing the fact that today principals are essentially, I think, the linchpin of successful districts because they've been empowered to be instructional leaders. Which I know when I first began teaching, I didn't have a principal as an instructional leader, and they weren't. They were managers of schools, and I was basically told, "That's your classroom. Do good work in it." And everybody was sort of left to their own to do that, which meant that, yeah, there were some people that were doing great stuff, always has been, but then there are people that are doing very good stuff, and so we recognize that instead of, we need to solve that problem, so there's a more collaborative aspect to it, and then the principals were asked to sort of make sure that do good work. Well, in that transition, we've seen some principals just excel with that, because they figured out how to do that, but then there's others that haven't. And so right now, in schools, I know lots of these schools that are out there where the principal hasn't excelled at that, has made learning really difficult. It's really difficult to teach them. So their success and their guessing, I can't speak for all of you, but I'm guessing the fact that you're excited about your work is a direct relationship to the fact that your principal is probably supportive and helping you. Because if they aren't, teaching will be a really, really more difficult job than learning. Yeah, she wants to tell a good story. Because I think this is actually queuing up to question 5 anyways, right? Question 5, and she can just keep going.
Okay, so question 5, what can classroom teachers do to help diffuse innovation?
No, go to, oh, sorry, it's made classrooms, this is question 6 I was thinking of.
6, how are your favorite examples of quality leaders? What are your favorite?
So the question is talking about, is names a specific, and what is their quality that you think is something worth sharing?
At the recent sale at my school, our principal is Peter Johnson, and when I was presenting to a group of teachers from West Vancouver yesterday, I called him the principal maker of our school, because our school is all based on design thinking and making, and I think that he's really pivotal in the way that he creates teams of teachers, and everything we have done in the re-envisioning creation of SAIL has all been done by committee and groups of teachers, with him come with our ideas, and we literally work everything collaboratively. I think one of the most powerful things as an admin is to be that educational leader and to create where your teachers can like grow into themselves and become better teachers. I think one of also the things that he does is that he's a touchstone. So when I was absolutely filled with despair about the situation, about the terror attack in Quebec City, the mosque, I was able to talk with him and I said how I would like to respond to this with my students. And he was able to keep some pieces of advice. And then we ended up creating a wall of support with stickies with my students. And it was like a measured kind of, you know, the outpouring of love from that community and also the whole nation. And so I think that he helped me to be able to see, oh, you know what? You had that crazy idea, but this is maybe a better measured way. So I really appreciate his counsel and his ability to be such a kind of a spark of innovation.
Anya jumped in and said in reply to Sandy, Sandy said, I love it when my principal drops by my classroom, and then Anya knows that there must be such a positive relationship and such a huge, lots of trust, and it's true, right? If you have the open door policy, there's that trusting relationship.
Right, and again, I highlight that there's many teachers are very jealous of what happens here in Surrey, which I want to backtrack to question 5, the original one. We can follow back and forth, but question 5 has to do what do you think your role is as teachers in terms of diffusing innovation and success? So one thing to point to leadership and say, you know, you guys are the ones that are sort of changing the culture, but do you feel you have a role in that as classroom teachers?
I think that in my experience here, it's coming to the realization that yes, I'm a classroom teacher, but I am also a leader. So in my school, helping others, so that diffusion came for me. I didn't open up my classroom, and people came there, and they could see it firsthand, what using portfolios look like, what newly designed classroom space looked like. All those things that I was free to try. I have a trusted relationship with my administrator, and I was given the yes. Every time I asked, I got a yes. And so that turned me into a person that other people could come and try and feel safe and just have a look before they went for it themselves.
Can you talk about like basically like what it means to you like to taking on more leadership roles in the district? Did you?
A little bit, yeah.
Can you talk about like how that do as a teacher librarian?
Well, so this all existed after I did all my formal education. Because anytime I try something, and I'm likely to fail. Nice to that. Yesterday, Lynn caught me out of the couple. Watched episodes with things trying to show up on the screen. Had a song and dance on the side that you suggested, Lisa. So
Number.
I think what Robin said is key. No matter where I go, I get yes. I get, you do it. Go and do that. Give that a try. I'm sure you'll be great. I don't think that, but I'm a great shot, and I just keep going.
share. What do you think your role is helping others grow as educators? I think that some ideas to share, but what do you guys think? What do you do? Do you think that you help contribute to the learning of others in the district?
Go ahead, Chris.
So I think that contribute by being active on Twitter and social media, and I think that I'm pretty vocal. Sometimes it gets me into trouble because I can be a little blunt sometimes. But I think that anyone who knows me knows that the relationships and my heart is for the I will do whatever it takes to make them know that I want them to be successful and that I care about them. So if it means opening my big mouth and getting myself into trouble, then I'll do that.
No, but I mean, as much as we want to talk about how much it is to all around that, that does mean sometimes we have to have hard conversations, right? And you can really test the quality of the trust you have by the depth of those conversations. If the conversations are always surface level, that's very nice, very good, very good. I mean, that doesn't help us grow. So I think it's a great indicator, the fact that people can say, I feel, because again, I know people, I know other districts where people are scared to sort of, they know when they've done it, they've been shut down, they've been seen as resistors or whatever, and they're not. They're just saying, is there another way? Could we look at this in a different direction? So when you feel like I actually could say, speak what I want to speak in respectful ways, and it's honored, that's a powerful indicator of success.
Yeah.
We're just more wrapped up here, so.
Yeah, so one of the things that sort of, what Surrey does very well, and Surrey Education does very well, they talk about bringing people together, and they bring people together to connect teachers with their greatest resources, which are each other. And that's what communities do. And Surrey does that very well. Surrey does that amazingly well too. There's so many different online communities in here. But I think, there's multiple Facebook groups, multiple people involved with the Dan chat, multiple people involved with Twitter, lots of people involved with Pinterest. Even if you just share one of those ideas, and it will connect with one person, use that idea in the way that you use it, but it's an idea that they have percolating. And the more connected you are, the more you share those kind of connections with other people, the more each of the sort of the community itself grows, and each community that you're involved with grows.
I just want to say that enthusiasm is contagious. And as a teacher librarian, public teacher, and when I was a teacher librarian in the school, just to be excited about something new and getting staff on board with it. You're always going to get one or two that are going to buy in, and then it just spreads. So, yeah, it is. Yeah. It's like the flu going around.
In a nice way.
Well, and again, I think building a culture where sharing is the norm. What's expected of you. And the idea of culture is, and I use it very intentionally because I often hear people talk about scaling, and this is Chris Kennedy's work talking about. I don't know that we scale those. You can't scale relationships. You can't scale a lot of stuff. So you diffuse it. And you diffuse it by empowering everyone to make a contribution to that. So again, I think one of the great successes of Surrey School District is the culture of sharing. There's an expectation for people to share the work they're doing in finding ways. I know we have a lot of bloggers here, we have a lot of people who use Twitter, we have a lot of people that attend different meetings and belong to a lot of groups. So nobody's telling you exactly you're supposed to do that. But I think districts would learn well to how do we intentionally build a culture where sharing is the norm, that we get to know what everybody's doing, and then as Kat was saying, I think that's an important part. We probably get a whole discussion about what about the hard conversation when someone says, I think maybe go in a different direction, or maybe what we're doing. You got to have that also. I'm going to give Rob the last word. I say this is the last word of the whole meeting. Make it good.
All right, the last word. I think one of the things that was hardest for me when I was sharing was that some people didn't want to hear what I was saying. And I just want people to understand that people are watching when you're trying new things, and they may not like your message at first, and they may not always agree with you, but when they see how passionate you are and that you're a student-centered person, and you're doing, like Kat said, everything you can, you advocate, your mama bear kids, they start to listen and they start to change. It might be really small at first, but you do have an impact, and people are watching you, just like little kids watch you at home. Other people all over the place are watching you, and you just need to remember that what your purpose is, what you're making, the changes you're making. Because if your heart's in the right place, it can always start.
Well, thank you, everybody. We'll thank the people that are joining us online for contributing. Thank you guys for coming and sharing. We can stay and visit for a while. We'll shut the screen down and go more casual. So thanks for that. That was great. Oh, and we should do this. We'll do this with the camera rolling. I got a little prize takeaway, so I need a number between 1 and 18. 11. Oh, Kirby. This is amazing. This is amazing.
We're excited for you. We didn't even see what you wanted.
Animal Planet arm sleeves. You have to try it. You have to put them on. You have to put them on. That's part of it.
Very Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Wow. This was best.
Totally.
Yes. Delicious. Patterns are going to be 2017.
Very nice.
I bet I would.
You bet what?
If I had won, would I have gotten the same prize?
Oh yeah. That's all you got. Put your arms in the air. There you are. Thank you guys.
You're welcome, Turkey.
The best part is that they actually say Animal Planet on it.
Are you sure the